it was a traumatic event. And for me, as a young guy, it was just kind of another story. I mean, I had a lot of things happen to me as a young guy.
You've had time to process now.
Now, I'm going through and talking to a therapist, and, she's like, let's go over your trauma. And I'm like, I don't really think I have any. And then I said, what about like being a murder suspect? She's like, excuse me?
Slightly traumatic.
Slightly traumatic.
Let's walk that back.
Yeah, let's walk that back.
Welcome into the Fit for Radio podcast. I'm your host, Drew Tiedemann, and we are at the Stafford Hills Club, my spot right now, where it was just voted the best health and wellness facility in the Portland area, which is pretty big time. I'm always happy to bring my guests here because it's a place you can be proud of. You can also work out and work in the same spot. I'm back here in the suites with a bunch of other people who are crushing it, and maybe they were deadlifting enormous weights earlier. Well, right now in studio, a guy who I've been excited to talk about because he has got a crazy story. His name is Anton Robinson. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Glad to have you in here. Things are going good. Now, we're going to roll back the clock here a little bit. We're going to roll back to a time in 1997. Now, a little context, I was a sophomore in high school. I was up to trouble at this point already, so I wasn't completely innocent, but I wasn't dealing with some of the life's bumps that were dealt to you in 1997. Now, before we kind of get into what happens to you, Anton, where is your life in 1997?
1997 was a little tough year. I was already a dad. I was 23 years old. My son had basically just turned 2. His mom and I were, split. It's kind of a rough year. She bounced a bunch of credit cards in my name, had to file bankruptcy. She was technically out of my apartment. Had some tragedy in life. Cousin passed away. Grandfather passed away. So dealing with just that at that time was tough. And she was in my apartment for whatever reason, trying to get clothes or something. I don't really know, but I came home one night.
And she was there.
She was there. Yeah.
Oh.
Her mom had a key because her mom would watch my son for me because we were split up, obviously.
Yeah.
And so she was in there getting clothes or something to that effect. And so I came in and like, what the heck? And I was, I'd been partying. I'm a young guy. I'd been partying with some friends. I think it was my buddy's reception for his wedding.
Okay.
And which is another story. Anyway, she, her and I get in an altercation, like, vocally. She throws water in my face, blah, blah, blah. She's dating a Portland police officer at the time.
So things get a little hot, but it's still within the
there's no
realm of argument.
No, there's no, never put my hands on anybody, right? It was just an argument. Me wondering why she's in my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just decides to kind of escalate it by tossing a cup of water in my face. I had a temper issue back then. Threw some things around. We were arguing out in the parking lot. She leaves. I pass out because
You're done. Yeah,
right.
You've used up your motor, and now you're going to bed.
I'm going to bed on the couch, and I wake up to 2 Clackamas County sheriffs inside my apartment. Which
seems sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have an attorney or anything in these days, so here's 2 officers in my apartment, no search warrant. She let them in. She's not even on the lease anyway. So they stand me up, they handcuff me, throw me in the back of the police car, and I get, put in the drunk tank.
And in 1997, the rules are a little looser. Police have more authority. There's no body cam. They can just kind of say, it is what it is.
Yeah, and actually at that time, in 96, actually, there was a new DA in Clackamas County, and there was where domestic violence was considered somebody's going to jail.
Yeah.
So if you and your partner are arguing,
doesn't matter.
One of you is going to jail for the night, or they're going to separate you in some way. So,
and you wish it would be a coin flip, but it's usually the guy. The guy normally goes.
Yeah, normally the guy that's flipped his dining room table over is the one that's going to be going to jail.
I just want to talk.
I just want to. She won't listen. No.
Yeah.
It was a stupid. I mean, I was a young guy. I was just an idiot. But
Arguments happen, and I think that most people can't say they never got in an argument with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or felt stupid about how you reacted. It just happens when you're young.
Yes.
It's part of the process.
And unfortunately, that was kind of that was our relationship. There's a reason we weren't together, because we weren't communicating properly.
Yeah, so kind of the toxic ups and downs. You love hard, fight hard.
It was bad all the way around. So I'm in a police car, drunk tank. Kind of funny story. I just started like calling all my friends
From the jail?
from the jail, because they, I was at home. My buddy had actually driven me home, so he thought I was safe and sound at home. But little did he know, a whole nother story was happening.
Yeah, a whole nother night after the night.
So I get bailed out, and it was just drunk tank. And then, of course, now you have litigation that's going to happen. I get charged with menacing. So this is like a new charge. There was no assault. There was no hands on anybody, but you can't
berate and
you can't be out in public screaming at people, threats or whatever we were saying back and forth, whatever that I was being alleged to.
They found your charge. They found a charge.
They found a charge. Yes. So there was a new DA. She was handing out these domestic violence charges like crazy. Like it was just one of those things that was happening, which is
good in scenarios.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a space for that.
There was definitely a space for that. I didn't feel like I was a person that should have been wrapped up in all that, but obviously
you didn't feel you qualified.
I didn't feel like qualified. So at that time, actually, I had the opportunity to do 90 days in county or deferred sentencing.
90 days for yelling and flipping your own stuff?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a warning, I guess, to others who, because, also you even said that you used to get a little too hot.
Yep. 100%.
And I think that people could hear that and be like, well, it's my stuff. Well, you still can't get.
And it was more being out in public. So someone else called the cops. It wasn't her. So someone else had actually called the police as well. And here I look like I'm a man. I'm aggressing towards a female who's trying to leave. Right.
Yeah. You can see how you might call at your age.
100%. 100%. I'd be calling the cops. Hell,
yeah.
Look at this crazy psycho. Little did they know that she wasn't on the lease. She
had been in your place.
Broke into my apartment. Right. So little context, but it was what it was. So I get, I of course go for deferred sentencing because, well, one, I'm a dad and I can't be going,
You're not built for jail.
I'm definitely not built for jail.
I'm not built for jail. I mean, I'd be like, what is the other option?
Whatever the other option is.
Captain Road Crew over
yes,
here.
I want it. I can throw some hands, but I'm a $135, dude. Yeah. I'm not built for prison.
You want to throw hands and then go home, not see him at lunch tomorrow.
Yes, or have a cellmate. So, and I'm pretty. No.
Yeah, pretty enough.
Pretty enough. So I do deferred sentencing, which is a year's worth of anger management, and it's once a week, right?
52 sessions.
52 sessions of anger management, and you're in a group setting too, right?
Wow.
So I have to set this up. I have to, there's going to be an orientation, blah blah blah. So just kind of give you a time of how the time this all went down. It was like, call it June was the incident. Now it's, you go like 6 months.
It goes on and on.
It takes forever. Yeah.
You're like, I'm not even angry anymore.
I'm not even angry.
I've been managed. My anger's been managed.
My anger's gone. I've been seeing a therapist. I had.
Yeah. Well, in that amount of time, you could change.
I had been just drinking more. But so at this time, now we're talking, it's like, November-ish, right?
Okay.
November 11th is when kind of everything went down. But November 10th is when I had anger management orientation. So I've been seeing this gal, her and I've been, I've been staying at her place more and more and more, and staying the night at her house that night. I worked at a fiberglass shop, which will come into play here later. But my dad worked there for like 41 years. I'd been working there for probably 6 years. And I was in a department called lamination, which uses a lot of resins. This will come in later. So, her and I, had to borrow her car. This is kind of guy I was at that time. I had to borrow her to go.
Mooching a little bit.
What a catch, right?
Yeah,
The guy who has to borrow her car to go to anger management. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can't wait to introduce you to mom.
Right, exactly. So so I take her car, I go to anger management orientation. I find out it's going to be expensive. It's going to be like $50 a week. It's weekly, right? It's every week.
You're a young guy. You don't have a cash
I had no money. Like literally, I had no money. And I thought, God, 90 days in county, a little ping pong, maybe some fist fights. It didn't sound as bad now. But but here I am, and I'm surrounded by just some pretty angry guys. I mean, their stories are, I blacked out, put my wife in the hospital, don't know how I did it kind of stories. I'm like, wow.
Because they're in anger management, a lot of them, because they also committed domestic violence.
They literally had domestic violence.
They are violent.
They are violent.
They actually hit somebody, and now they got to figure out how not to keep hitting.
Not to keep hitting.
Whereas in yours is just, I just don't want to get, well, they don't want me to get mad.
Yeah, and I don't.
It is a different level, though.
There's definitely different levels of it. And this one, these stories were wild in themselves. I mean, that should be a new podcast for you. But there was a lot of stories there with these guys. So anyway, I'm there, I'm doing my thing, and I go home that night to her place and stay the night. Now, I always took my work clothes with me. So which was work clothes consisted of a hat, because I wore the same hat to work because it was going to get covered in, resin and whatnot. Because you're using a roller, and much like painting, you get dots.
Gets everywhere.
It gets all over your hat. My jeans. So I go to work that day, clock in as normal, blah, blah, blah. Come home go straight to my apartment after work. And as I pull into my apartment, there's homicide tape and cops, and kind of look over, and I'm like, what's going on? I roll my window down. Cop walks over, and I said, what's going on? And there was like, there's a homicide.
Oh.
I was like, oh, wow, crazy. To be honest with you, the apartment that I lived in at the time didn't seem that far off the realm of possibility. It was definitely on the menu for this place. There's a lot of.
So it wasn't, like now you probably live in a neighborhood where if that happened, it would be highly concerning and you would want more details.
100%. I mean, it was. Now it would be. It'd be
like, wait, what?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
There it was like, that makes sense. I mean, there was a lot of fights. There was a lot of homeless people that were breaking into cars, that kind of thing. So, so I park, go up to my apartment door, open it up, and everything I have is gone.
Gone?
Gone. So I had a rack system. We're talking like 5-disc CD changer.
Oh, you had the old school full setup.
I went to Tom Peterson. I did it on payments.
I almost wore a Tom Peterson shirt today. I'm not joking. His giant head. I almost wore it today.
We got haircuts from that guy. Yeah. We got all kinds of things. So I went and got the Fisher system. I had a turntable, the big speakers. I had no business owning it. Obviously, I had no money.
The guy with no cash had the sweetest stereo.
Sweetest stereo system. My TV actually left, which is crazy, but he took the remote, which kind of bothered me.
It's probably just couldn't get whoever had stolen your stuff. It's just a lot to move a tube TV back in those days.
It was big. It was like a 27-inch.
And those, I mean, it took a team of dudes to move
that thing. But as I kind of went through my apartment, there was just a lot of weird things. Like there was a footprint on my bed, which was creepy, obviously.
Like you've been walking on my bed.
Well, he came through my bedroom window.
Oh, okay.
Right. Stole my phone that was in there. I had like a real landline phone. He had taken my phone. My closet doors were open. Clothes were kind of strewn about. Walking through the apartment, there was a sock with Mr. Clean on it. So in my mind, I was like, probably wiping stuff down, I would assume,
Yeah.
But emptied, like everything was gone. And my first instinct was, when I first walked in, I didn't know I was burglarized, to be honest with you. When I first saw it,
like repoed or something.
No, I thought my kid's mom had taken my stuff.
Oh, because you had just she's been in the place.
She's been in the place. So in my mind, I'm like, so she's the first person I called, of course. And she's like, I haven't been there. No, why would I take all your stuff? And so what's funny is,
it'd be pretty petty.
It'd be pretty petty.
Every last thing, but
it was kind of hurt.
Par for the course.
Par for the course. So what's crazy is when I walk outside, because now I'm thinking there's cops there, I got to tell them about this burglary. So I walk out and the news crews are there, right? So the news had already been there. had already been on site for this homicide. So I walk out. They get this, me coming out, which will come into play later.
On video.
On video, yes. So I go grab one of the cops. They're like, that's something else. You got to actually call the cops. I'm like,
we're busy.
Well, they're dealing with a homicide,
Yeah.
right? So I call the cops. I sit there for 3 hours waiting for them to show up. They do a little bit of, fingerprint, blah, 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 and leave. I mean, because they're not going to find the guy.
And where you are, I mean, I hate to say this, but everybody knows you get into a seedy neighborhood, they don't take the same time on the investigation that they do in other places.
They don't care. I mean, literally, they didn't care. I think he may have taken some inventory of what got taken. I was really bummed because my Adam Sandler CD, when they used to do comedy CDs, if anybody out there knows CDs.
Oh, Adam Sandler CD is one of my favorites of all
They're
time.
all going to laugh at you. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
it's the best.
Classic.
It was gone, which was actually noted. He noted it, which is funny. Adam Sandler.
It was a big time CD at that time.
Didn't take my Snoop Dogg CD, which I was very, very happy for. But yeah, I was completely cleaned out.
Now I'm not surprised that they didn't care. Side note, I just got robbed recently. 2 guys came in and I was at an Oregon Duck game. They went and they took everything that my family had in our car that we'd been traveling with. And when we called the police, they didn't even come there. They were like, okay, sweet. And they're like, we'll call you back in like a month. They called my wife like a month later and they're like, yeah, I didn't get them.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't surprise me that stuff's still going on today.
Yeah.
But you probably felt a little discounted.
I mean,
or were you just?
I mean, I was
a
young guy, had no stuff. I was like, I couldn't believe I have nothing now. Like I already didn't have stuff, right? And now I have nothing. I have a couch and a TV, and all my stuff's gone. And then as the week went on, this homicide was on TV, blah blah blah.
Now, how close to you in the apartment complex?
Sure.
How many doors down is this?
So the way this apartment complex was set up is I was on the lower level. There was a long garage and probably 6, those garages are probably 8 feet wide, probably 6 garages. And then right across from the end of those garages was her apartment. She was a middle floor. So not really my neighbor, but across the next building right across.
Okay.
And up. So not really related to me in any way, shape, or form. I didn't know who she was, to be honest with you. And I didn't really hang out with my neighbors because it was a seedy apartment.
Yeah, it could get weird.
Yeah, I just need a place for me and my kid to live for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So that specific apartment complex was technically nicer than where I had moved from, because the one that I had lived in previously to that was literally the cops were there every night. Like every night, like screaming. It should have been like domestic violence villa is what it should have been.
Yeah, they should have named it that.
They should have named it that. So I moved to Clackamas, was nicer than Southeast Portland, obviously. Yeah. And so when I moved to Clackamas, I thought, yeah, this is gonna be a little nicer for me and my boy. But
not so much.
Not so much. Yeah. So
the burglary, you've been cleaned out. They've come and gone. Are you feeling like you've got nothing? Like what do you do from there then?
So I'm still trying to kind of piece everything together. I'm living more and more with the girlfriend because
she has stuff.
Well, she has stuff, and it was creepy because I didn't know. And actually, I knew some kind of shady guys that time, and I thought maybe
they could have been
they were going to come back. And I didn't know.
Oh, come back to your apartment
to rob me again. Yeah, I thought maybe they were looking for me. I mean, I didn't have,
You feel targeted at a level.
I
right?
did. I felt kind of like I'd been a little bit targeted, and it wasn't until they started flashing things on the news from evidence that they had, where it started kind of bringing questions up, like new clues could lead to murder or XYZ, and my mom had actually said, hey, I saw a hat on the news that kind of looked like your work hat. And I was like,
that's got to make you feel weird.
Yeah, my stomach
because
actually I couldn't. I thought I lost my work hat.
and your work hat is because it's been spackled and because you wear it all the time. It's very identifiable.
It's very identifiable for sure, especially for anybody that I work with.
Your mom,
My mom, my dad, who I work with technically every day, 5 days a week.
like I'm wearing, right now I'm wearing my favorite hat.
Yeah.
And if you were to like flash it on the news, my wife would go, "That's his hat."
Exactly.
That's when there's even get like a fingerprint under it.
No,
where
exactly.
I lift it off.
Yeah, yeah. And this hat is I actually have pictures of it with my son wearing it prior to it becoming a work hat. So I'd say like that's your favorite hat, but once it gets worn out, my favorite hat would become my work hat, right? Because it's going to get ruined after that.
Totally.
So the hat that I was wearing at the time was just a hat I like to wear. Kind of went with some things that I owned, and I have pictures of it with my kid, my oldest son Troy, him wearing it with his glasses on. I put these glasses upside down. It was kind of a funny picture.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that it would eventually be what it kind of turned out to be.
An important picture.
An important picture, yeah. So I was actually at my mom's house, and she said, "Hey, I think I saw your hat on TV."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "That's creepy. Maybe I should go check it out." I said, "So I'm going to go home. I'll check it out." I said, "You know what? Maybe you contacted the Crime Stoppers or whatever it is, because I don't have a phone." And this is before cell phones. you know, and even if there were cell phones, I couldn't afford one anyway. But my phone was gone.
And the internet's not there, so you can't just go look up the story. You're like, gotta go wait for the 11 o'clock news or find someone.
And back then, they would do like 1-800 whatever Crime Stoppers, and you could call, and it would, they would take any kind of information and they would just plaster it out there. They were on the news, like every night, anything, because they had no clues. They had zero clues to this lady's homicide, and it was on TV every night. I mean, literally every night.
It's the Fit for Radio podcast, brought to you by the Stafford Hills Club, and I'm here as we speak. And one aspect of the club I'd like to touch on is the Kids Club. You're able to bring your kids here, drop them at the Kids Club, feel confident that they're safe and happy while you get your workout in, and really, it can be a stress reliever on another level. My own sister-in-law, who had twin girls and then tried to figure out how there's any time for yourself, a member at Stafford Hills, and was able to drop the girls, get that workout, get that free time, maybe even sit in the cafe and have yourself a cold beverage and a snack and just hear yourself think for once. It's overrated, or I guess it's underrated, what it's like to be able to have those moments to yourself. StaffordHills.com. Check out all the amenities or hit me up for half off your initiation fee at Stafford Hills Club.
My mom was like, go check it out. So I go home, and actually I was supposed to play basketball that night with a buddy of mine. I was on a city league basketball team, and I had probably, with little money I had, bought some new Chris Webbers.
Ooh, shoes. Those the younger
Webbs
might not know who Chris Webber is, but at the time, that's a hot shoe.
That was a hot shoe. And of course, I needed it for my city league basketball team because
you're going to play a lot better
with my 12 points, and 3 steals. It mattered what shoe I wore. So I was gonna, I had to go get ready for basketball anyway, and I thought maybe it's my hat, maybe it's not. She called Crime Stoppers. I honestly didn't know if they would show up or not. I had no idea. So I went home. A buddy of mine was actually supposed to come over too, and hang out because we're going to go play hoop together. So I get home, and what's funny is if you go back to the burglary, I had cleaned things up because I didn't know. They didn't seem to care. So the sock, whatever, I'd thrown everything in the garbage.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Just leave a crime scene as you're stepping over it, trying to live? You're going to clean up.
They didn't care.
Especially once they've discounted it.
Exactly.
You're moving on.
Exactly. So I'm going through, not only did I find my hat, I didn't find my C Webbs. And I'm like, where's my coat? I had like this Old Navy coat. It's like a wool coat that I used to kind of wear. It was in fashion, I promise.
You can't be judged all this time.
Can't be judged all this time. So I didn't find some items, and I was like, that's weird. And then there was a knock at the door, which to this day still kind of gives me, that feeling when the cops come behind you and you don't have your seatbelt on.
The heaves. It's just kind of like, oh.
Yeah. So
because at that time, you're young. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you just never know exactly why they're here. And if you
Yeah.
if you break any rules, you're nervous around them.
You're nervous around them. And I didn't look at law enforcement as a positive thing in my life. They had, up to that point, had always, where I grew up in Felony Flats in Southeast Portland, they were always messing with us, from the time I was a skateboarder to the time I was just running around the neighborhood. They were just never positive, unfortunately.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I respect the police on another level, but I will also say that I have always been nervous around them. And even though I don't break the rules like I might have when I was younger, and I am a law-abiding citizen, they hold an uncontrollable authority over you that you can't be like, wait, hold on, can we discuss that? When they decide, and that's it. And so as just like a standard issue human being, that's scary to me. And so I get nervous to this day. If they were to walk up to the door right here and knock on our studio, I would panic. Yeah. And I've done nothing wrong.
Yes. It's just the way it is, So I opened the door. It's 2 homicide detectives. Obviously they flash badge, told me who they were, said that my mom had called about, possibly seeing some evidence on TV. I said, yeah, sure. Come on in. They came in. We sat down. They pull out a manila folder. And in this manila folder is a picture of my sea webs, my Old Navy jacket, and my hat, and some other items.
Mm-hmm.
And I just...
What did that do?
I honestly thought, I just thought to myself, it can't get any worse. Like, this has been the craziest year of my life. And I just couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. I mean, it made me sick to my stomach. And of course I said, yeah, that's my stuff. And they immediately pull out notepads and,
get into it.
Let's get into it. Like, you got some explaining to do, right?
Yeah.
So, where were you the night of? Where were you the day of? Blah, blah, blah. So I had to start, obviously, my story off with, well, I was at anger management.
This is not a fair jump off spot.
Orientation. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So do you have a history of violence? And, those kind of questions. Well, yeah, tell us all about that, right? Well, it's a domestic dispute. Now, granted, I have no idea what happened. Right. All I know is what the news shows is that there was a homicide.
Something has happened. There's tape. It's not good. And now people are knocking and asking questions.
Exactly. So I explained to them what had happened. Right. The incident with their mom, with my son's mom, the charges, all the things that had happened that night with her. And they're like, oh, interesting, and then, what do you do for work? And I told them what I did for work. I work for a fiberglass shop, and, what's on this hat? And I explained to them what was on the hat. That's, different kinds of resins and whatnot. And, they're kind of showing me the evidence that they want to show me.
Yeah, they're not going to show you anything
else. Your shoes, this and that. I said, what's funny is the shoes I just found out tonight because I'm actually going to go play basketball and, I don't have any shoes, trying to make jokes.
No laughing.
There's no joking, right?
You're not funny.
I'm definitely not funny at this moment because I'm terrified, to be honest with you, because single thing I'm saying, like, I'm kind of a time guy, which is a weird thing to say, but I don't know if it's just, I always recognize like time. If I see a clock, I recognize the time. And so I knew like specific times, like, because I'm always gauging like, now I know it's ADHD, but the times I need to leave and how much time it's going to take to get there. And I'm, now you have Apple Maps. You can go like, okay, I can leave at exactly 5:23 and I'll get there at 6.
Not in 1997.
Not 1997. So I just, I was like, well, it was like, 4:08 when I left the house. So, the specific times.
Oh, so they're like, they believe that you've overthought your explanation.
They're definitely making you feel like.
I mean, like, that's where I feel like.
Oh, 100%. Right. And they ask you, like, if you were going to strangle somebody, would you use rope or pantyhose? Something like to that effect. I'm like,
how do you even respond? I mean, because quite frankly, I'd be like, that's an inappropriate question. If I've done nothing wrong, like, I don't even know. I'm not giving you an answer.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the tone of the conversation, which was funny because they asked the same questions 80 different times, And I answered the same question kind of the same way, right? So essentially, we get done with this interview. It probably takes about, I don't know, 2 hours. And what's funny is my buddy showed up in the middle of it
To go to City League?
to go to City League. He knocked on the door, and they're like, "Who's that?" I said, "Oh, it's my friend. He's going to, going to play basketball, blah, blah, blah." And he comes in, and they actually interviewed him. I didn't know that, but they interviewed him as well. But they talked to him for like 2 seconds, and now I'm free to go, obviously, but I can't leave the county or the state or anything like that. We're gonna question you more, obviously, because they've linked the two apartments. So now
they've asked you not to like go on a vacation or
no vacations. I mean, I couldn't afford one anyway. But
but they don't know that.
my Cancun trip was now
exactly.
spoiled. But now they've linked the two. Now they have evidence that links my apartment with an apartment that a homicide has happened.
And is that there's a homicide? Did they give you any idea who the victim is at this point? Or
well, we all knew that. So
you knew
I knew it was a woman, of course.
And you knew which apartment.
And I knew which apartment. Actually, you know what's funny is I didn't. It's crazy in that time that I didn't explore it. I just I wanted to cooperate, obviously, because I didn't I didn't do anything wrong. So I felt like if I cooperate, that's probably the best way to go at it. And so I didn't actually have a clear picture of exactly the apartment that it was at until a lot of the news came out and this and that, and then they started showing the building and whatnot. But now they've linked the two. Now my apartment is covered in fingerprint dust, like from ceiling to floor, wall to wall. Every aspect of that apartment is covered in fingerprint dust.
So you've learned now what the difference between a fingerprinting of something they would like to have solved and one they don't care about.
One they don't care about. Yeah, which it's funny that you immediately picked up on that detail, because when I was, back then I was like, this is crazy. I was burglarized. If you guys would have investigated it, you may have found it out quicker.
It could be done.
So what's crazy about it is the screen door that I say he, because, I know now, but the person that had burglarized me pulled off, they slid it underneath my couch, right? So I had taken it out from the couch and put it just kind of on the couch because it was creepy.
So they fingerprinted it.
So they fingerprint my whole apartment and find nothing.
Really?
But my fingerprints and little boy's fingerprints, which would be my son.
Yeah.
And I
probably have lots of those.
Lots of those. Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah.
My kids' prints are everywhere.
Everywhere. So then they start asking me questions like, hey, we checked the dumpster. We found a sock with Mr. Clean on it. And you had mentioned the sock. Why'd you throw it away? And I was like, I didn't know it was connected to a homicide at the time. I had no idea. It was just cleaning up my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what they found out is that that's what was used to wipe fingerprints down, right? Of whatever said person had touched. But the screen comes into play later on, and it's a key piece of evidence, which is crazy at the end. So what had happened is the burglar actually wore my sandals, because my sandals were by the back door, and my back door was to Woods in Clackamas, where you know where Gustav's is.
Yeah.
Okay, back there, which is Lawnfield Road.
Okay,
and it's all woods. It's a big old hill. So what he did was at the end of the garages, he parked his truck, backed it in, and pretty smart, used my sandals, walked behind the garages with my stuff, filled up his truck. Pretty smart. Put my clothes on, walked out the front door. Pretty smart. Because I don't really talk to neighbors.
That just seems like it's you.
It seems like it's me getting into the truck. So that's how he burglarized me. What we found out later is that's where he sat to watch her husband leave to then go.
Oh, she was married.
So she was married. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole, if you want to get into that story.
That's a whole other thing.
But they had moved up from California. Had only been living there like 6 months. And he was working at some pipe fitting company right down the road. And I think he was just eyeballing her because she would jog up and down Lawnfield. And maybe
so he had targeted her.
He had kind of targeted her to that point. now that they've connected the two, now this is kind of when it gets sketchy, because now the news is at my apartment every single night. Like, I
So
can't go
how is
home.
that? How does that work? Because shouldn't that be confidential?
No.
They just go and say we have a suspect and it's that guy.
Yeah.
That
It
seems dangerous.
it sucked. I mean, it was actually the worst part of all of it, because I had Channel 2, Channel 6, and Channel 8 News literally hovering at my job, at my apartment every night, to where I had to like flee and then go stay at my girlfriend's house.
Has she given up on you yet? I mean, you have no money, anger management. Now you're in a homicide investigation.
I guess I'm a good salesman. I don't know,
You absolutely are.
But she kind of hung in there with me, because I told her the whole story. I mean, she knew I was at work. I mean, I had a pretty good alibi at the time that the woman was murdered, based on the time I was at work. I mean, unless I left work or had somebody else clock me in.
Was the news trying to ambush interview you then, or were they just taking pictures and videos?
No, they were.
They
me leaving the apartment, right, when I told you when I came out because the cops were there, I'd actually walked out and I was like, right, that's the look on my face, like, oh, I got robbed, right? New clues could lead to murder, and here I'm smiling, walking.
Oh, they're treating you like a sociopath.
I mean, they're trying to
paint the picture.
They're trying to paint a picture. They need to sell ad revenue just like everybody else. So, and at that time, this is 97. In 1996, if you remember, the Atlanta Olympics got bombed, and they framed that one guy, Richard Steele, and that was the only suspect.
Richard Jewell.
Sorry, Richard Steele's something else. Richard Jewell. Yeah, you're right. And
I think Richard Steele's an adult film star.
No, he's not, is he?
I didn't know.
Oh, he is. Dick Steele. No, but I think he's a referee for boxing, actually.
There we go.
But anyway.
It's a hard job either way.
Either way. So I didn't want to get framed for anything. And so they would interview me and I would say stupid things like that. Like if I went back to the footage of me on the news, it's
cringy for you now.
It would be embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
But all this time I'm being interviewed over and over and over again. Like 6 hours at a time. They've got
sitting down with the detective.
With detectives, yeah.
Are they coming with new stuff, or is it just repetitive?
What's crazy is they were really nice to me, which I felt was
part of it.
Was part of it. I think they were trying to be nice to me, so I just give them more information. One of the interviews I remember the most was actually at the office, at the first one was actually at the office of the apartment. They took a little special room kind of like this and sat down and they interviewed me for 4 hours straight, 5 hours straight.
Whoa. That's exhausting.
They had pictures of dudes from my neighborhood, right? They're like, you know this guy? I'm like, yeah. How you know him? It's the guy from the neighborhood. You know this guy? Yeah. How you know him? Oh, him and I used to hang out. You know this guy?
Really?
Well, I think they had no evidence.
They're just trying to find
trying to find anything, like somebody that would try to, had it out for me. Or I think they're just, they were just trying to figure it out themselves.
See if there is a third party involved. Because like even you said, you knew some characters who, might be the type of person who you would want to check their pockets on the way out of your party.
Yeah.
You never know. Now there's a real big gap between someone who's willing to five-finger discount from you and someone who's going to hurt somebody on that level.
Yeah, and what's crazy is at that same time, a guy that was actually a good friend of mine was actually the Woodstock rapist, which is a whole nother story for you if you ever want it.
You know how to pick them.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if there was evidence because they had shown me a picture of all my friends at my 20th birthday party, and he was in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know at the time because I didn't know about him being that guy, if that was already started. We had no idea.
Yeah,
we start thinking about stuff like that later down the road, but when they're asking you those questions, so they go through all those questions, and at that time, this was right before the news. Kind of backpedal a little bit here, but when I came out, they're like, hey, you're going to need to stay somewhere else. And I go, why is that? And we look out the door and it's every news organizations with the satellite up. And yeah, so they actually drove me to my parents' house that night. And I actually stayed at my parents' house.
And how are your parents? How are they dealing with this? Because I know for a fact that mine would be concerned.
Yours would definitely be concerned. Mine were concerned, of course. My dad's always, my dad's Vietnam era guy. He 2 tours of Vietnam guy, Marine. He was like, stop talking. Don't help them at all.
Protect ourselves.
Protect yourselves, And I was like, what's that going to do? Like,
you don't want to look like you're hiding things. So you're probably being forthcoming because when you're like, well, I take the fifth or whatever.
Whatever it is, whatever you do, you look guilty anyway. And there's like literally no witnesses. So there's no anything, there's nothing. And so I didn't want to be the guy that, was hurting the investigation. And I wanted to help out. I wanted to do because I knew I was innocent. So
you're trying to do the right thing.
You just don't want to get framed for it. So interview after interview after interview, they get to the point where they're really asking me for more. Like, hey, we need some samples of hair.
Oh, they want to test you all up and down now.
Yes, you're talking.
They want it all.
Penthouse hair on top of your head, and then
they want your pubic hair too.
They want because
the long and straight of it.
Now
the curly. Now they know that. Now that I know, more happened than just a murder. This makes sense.
This makes sense now. Yeah. So they're ripping hairs out, which honestly,
where's DNA at this point? Like, how far along are we?
DNA is out. It's DNA helps, but it sounds like, back then it took a little bit longer to get those to connect, but they definitely had a database. And they could definitely use it, but it wasn't something that was like now where it's like instantaneous.
Yeah.
Then it was a little more, took a little longer.
And you had to have the person associated. You couldn't, like, now we can take DNA and I can find out who your grandma is.
100%.
There's other markers that you can back. Well, it's a relative of X, Y, and Z. I don't feel like they were doing that in 97.
Yeah. If let's just say if it was just like you just decided today, you said, you know what, I'm going to go kill somebody and wipe everything down. You would have probably got away with it then. If you were a known criminal, well, they probably had your DNA in some kind of database.
And that's how you'd get busted.
So the only single fingerprint they found was on that screen. They found a palm print. Like when you grab it.
They screwed up.
He screwed up. The only thing he didn't wipe down was that screen. He took the screen, slid it underneath.
Forgot about
it. And that palm print connected the person that burglarized me to her apartment. That was the only thing that
is wild.
It's wild. Yeah.
And to think also that this person went to all of that trouble. And I mean, this is quite a little cloak and dagger thing that they did. And they could have they would have gotten away with it if they had just worn gloves.
If he would have wiped down, that screen,
it's over.
Because what had happened was, I mean, I was the only suspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was multiple things going on at that apartment complex that night as well that I later found out. There were some car burglaries happening. There was a lot of commotion. Probably why the guy did it when he did it, the person that did it, because of that commotion. There was a lot happening.
People are distracted.
People are very distracted. It's early morning, so cars are leaving. People are getting up. A lot of things are happening. But, for me, we're talking, this was like an 8-month ordeal of probably, I want to say anywhere from 5 to 10 different interviews. Everybody that I knew, girlfriend included, who was a school teacher, by the way, homicide detective showed up to her place of business to ask her about me and my.
Oh, he showed up to the school.
Yes.
Oh, that's very kind.
Yes.
You're already on the ropes with this girl.
Yeah.
Now you're at the school
to ask questions about, I mean, now that we know she was sexually assaulted, essayed. Now those questions are being asked of her, my kid's mom. All of them are being interviewed. And the crazy thing is, after my son's mom was interviewed, who's back then she was.
You can imagine what she was saying about you.
No, what she said was, and she told me what she said, and it wasn't until recently that I actually saw it in print. She told them, they asked her if I had the capabilities of harming or killing someone. And she said, no, he definitely doesn't have, the capability to do that. But if he was going to kill anybody, it would be me. Ha ha ha.
Oh, hilarious. Well, could you just not?
Could you just not?
I mean,
ever say that? Ever say that?
Oh,
yeah.
It's brutal. The Fit for Radio podcast is brought to you by the Stafford Hills Club. You have to check this place out. If you're anywhere in the area, it's worth a look. Not only do they have that saltwater pool, they also have all the amenities you could possibly imagine. But come springtime, it's going to be the spot for you to meet new friends and just to gather with the ones you've already got. It's so nice to be out by that pool. They've got the grill going, and then right inside, you got a place to relax by the fire and the whole deal right here at Stafford Hills. And if you're a tennis player, how about being able to play year round? There's a reason why this is called the Health and Wellness Facility of the Year in the Portland area. Check it out, staffordhills.com, or send me a direct message for your half-off initiation at the Stafford Hills Club. I wanted to ask you, this is a long time that they're continuing to come back to you, and they're sitting down. I mean, these interviews were sitting down for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time, which is insanity. For me, the way that my mind would start to work is I would start to accidentally pull out worst possible outcomes. And especially in like the early morning hours when you wake up and the anxiety of that this is just kind of lingering over the top of you. Did you ever think that this could be that one day they might just come for you?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that wasn't the only thing going on in my life. I mean, you have to remember, I was also anger management every week. So I was dealing with all of that. Being interviewed, being shown pictures, being drugged through the mud, the news, always. Yeah. I was like, I know if they don't find somebody,
you're the easy target.
Even if
you're close and you're angry in their mind.
Yeah. It wouldn't be hard to at least charge me with it and see if I had, an ability to fight my way out of it. Who knows? Maybe somebody clocked me in that day. Maybe they can convince, a DA to convict me because, it looks like he's, hasn't clocked in multiple times.
Because there's always the fear that the pressure that's on the DA and on the police department to close the deal and to get us a conviction. And I think that, obviously they would prefer to get the right criminal, but there is pressure that continues. And that news presence that doesn't seem to let off the gas just makes that more pressure.
And I think the OJ stuff kind of started all that. Or if you were talking earlier, it's just sensationalizing something that that they don't know they have as much information as everybody else. There's not like there's insight from anybody.
Well, look at that. OJ's in 95.
Yep.
This is going down in 97. If you think about 1998 and 1999, which are Thurston High School shooting and Columbine, what do the news do? They go and they camp out, and it becomes everybody's in it, and who's gonna and late breaking news becomes like a drug that everybody's consuming. And now we still don't have the internet, but we have is local news that's doing it for us, and that's how we're kind of feeding off of it early on. And you're a victim of that.
Yeah, it's crazy because of all those interviews and all that, and then once they connect the two, and once they. Even though once they connected to, they still didn't have, I think that DNA took a long time. I think it took them a long time to figure it out. But I'll tell you, the DNA aspect doesn't come into play until this guy, when you're a serial.
Yeah, because you find out that he's more than just a one and done.
He's not a breaking in guy. He's known as the 205 rapist.
So he is an absolute devil.
Yeah. He actually committed another crime in Vancouver. But at this time, she was there with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was there, and there was some DNA from fingernails from her scratch from that fight that connected the palm print. That's when that DNA was connected. It's not immediate. It's not. And we're talking, 8 to 9 months later to find out that they finally had a name. Once they got that name out there, trying to find this guy was not easy either. I mean, these guys who do these kinds of things and come to find out that he had committed like 15. Wow. Which for me it was like, man, if I hadn't committed some stupid menacing charge, I would have been home that night. I would have had a foot on my chest from this guy stepping in my apartment.
Because he's coming in.
He's coming in.
He's coming in one way or another, and then you're going to have to fight a lunatic.
Yeah. And he was a very aggressive person because, later on I learned, it's funny that the detectives that were, once they kind of buttoned everything up and knew who they had, and I had to do a grand jury testimony, obviously. Anonymously. I didn't want this guy to know who I was.
You didn't want to be a part of that.
I didn't want to be a part of it. But the detectives, actually, I asked them, did you guys think I did it? And it was a male and a female detective. And she said, I thought you did.
Oh,
she actually thought.
Did you joke with her at that point? Like,
yeah. I mean, I said, I get it. I mean, if you have no evidence and you guys are seeing what you see, you guys get to see all the good stuff. I don't get to see the good stuff. But, this guy was going around the night before, grabbing door handles. I don't know if he was like, I'll never know. But I don't know if he was just like, some of these guys are like, they have to do it, like
tonight's the night,
like the Ted Bundys of the world. If you've seen any of his story,
they can't control themselves.
They can't control themselves. And I think he was grabbing door handles, looking for anything to kind of break in. And I was gone all the time. If he was casing that place, which
your lights off all the time,
my lights off all the time. If you watched me leave once, I also had a female, right, that was coming in and out. So,
which piques his interest.
Which piques his interest as well. But I think he was focused on her for sure. Because I recently got all the case files.
That's interesting.
I recently going through, it was a traumatic event. And for me as a young guy, it was just kind of another story. I mean, I had a lot of things happen to me as a young guy.
You've had time to process now.
Now, I'm going through and talking to a therapist and, she's like, let's go over your trauma. And I'm like, I don't really think I have any. And then I said, what about like being a murder suspect? She's like, excuse me?
Slightly traumatic.
Slightly traumatic.
Let's walk that back.
Yeah, let's walk that back. I decided to get it and kind of really read into, the overall aspect of it. And it's crazy the amount of handwritten, like very, very neatly written notes these detectives do. It's impressive. I was actually impressed with the amount of information that they had written down. So when you're talking to these guys,
they're really digging in.
I mean, they record a lot of stuff too, but they're really writing everything down. It's pretty impressive. And they have to go through and they have to interview everyone. Like every single person that lived in that apartment complex, there's an interview.
And it's a tougher job in 97. Now you can transcribe it and do the deal. While we're on it, though, you said that the female officer thought that she did it. What about the other guy? Did he respond or did he?
He felt that, in those first couple months, I was being pretty forthright, and somebody who did something so heinous because they knew all that.
It's hard to just relax in the moment.
The brutality of it, come to find out, he had, put her head into the wall and it was a pretty violent murder. And that takes another level. And if it was somebody who maybe I knew, crime of passion, that kind of
different thing.
It's a different thing. This is just
a monster.
So random. It's just a random act. He just found her, went in and did what he did and then moved on. That was it.
They didn't apologize or anything to you, did they?
No, they still have all my stuff.
They do. You never got your resin hat back.
I still have my Adam Sandler CD.
That's ridiculous.
I know. They still have it. Yeah.
So they found all your stuff or did they?
Yeah, because of the burglary, they still had all of my stuff as evidence. And now it's linked to a homicide. So I think that's why you don't get it back. Maybe it's for
If there's ever some sort of an appeal
or something like that.
Even though that feels exhausted at this point,
I really don't want it back. You know,
it's been touched by this
guy takes my stuff. I don't think I really want it back. Yeah.
Wearing that wool coat around.
I'm okay. Yeah. The C-Webs, maybe. No.
Yeah, I mean, if you get back in the City League game, I think a pair of C-Webs are widely respected. Now, what ended up happening? Like, was he already incarcerated when they figured out that it was him, or was this the moment that led to the big dance?
Yeah, no, they actually once they figured out it was him, they started narrowing down, talking to his family, he was on the run.
And they were hunting him.
They were hunting him down, and they eventually caught him just in like a kind of a car chase, and handcuffed him, and then his name was all over the news, all over the news. And what I didn't know too, that I can share now because I got the case files, was they actually had another suspect as well.
And
that they never told me about. A guy that was actually stealing a truck that night, the same color as the truck that the killer was using. And so they just said a witness had said, "Hey, it's Cal Spas," which if anybody knows Cal Spas, it's a Cal Spas maintenance truck. He was just stealing the truck. And so this poor guy gets linked to, he fled to Texas because he was terrified as well, even though he didn't do anything. But he was like a known criminal.
But he's more in trouble even than you, because it's like, oh, you stole the make and model of the vehicle that's used at a crime here.
Similar, yeah.
So it kind of seems like you steal the truck, then you break into the place, and like that could easily be a part of the whole
100%.
process.
Yeah, and then they don't even, I mean, of course they don't tell me because I'm blabbering.
Yeah.
I'm telling them everything.
And you're on a need to know basis.
But for almost 30 years of my life, here I'm thinking like I'm their only suspect. It's like maybe I could have helped out more if you would have told me who this guy was. I don't know. But yeah, that guy, I mean, reading his interviews, man, he was a down and out criminal. Like he was breaking into cars constantly there. Reading other witnesses' take of that apartment complex was at 10 o'clock is when all the fun happens. That's when all the homeless. Yeah.
That's when they all come out of the wall.
I mean, just the thought that 5:30 in the morning, this guy's breaking into a truck, stealing it at the same time that a brutal murder is happening. It's even crazier.
And it speaks to your neighborhood too, because I mean, honestly, like I did morning radio for a very long time. And so I always drive in the morning. Yeah. And quite honestly, at 5 a.m, the police aren't even really out because in this area, because the crime's done. Everybody's going to work now. You can't just get behind a car and pull it over at 5 a.m. because 85-90% of us are going to work.
Yeah.
And so it's a bold move, but it's also for a absolute loon ball.
Yeah.
It's probably the plan is, 3 a.m, you're sketchy.
Yes.
5 a.m, you could just be going to work. You could be you got an errand to run.
Yeah. And for him to wear my clothes now as a person who is smart, like you're just going to walk. No one's going to notice you walking out my front door and
not in your
truck and just sitting there and just waiting. So I've gone back to the apartment complex. The first time I've been back in almost 30 years.
Was that weird?
Yeah. And I took some pictures of the parking spot and looked directly to her apartment thinking, man, this dude just sat here, just waiting as all the commotion's going on. He may have saw that dude breaking into the truck. Just
probably.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. It was a crazy, crazy time in my life that lasted almost a year. Once it's all said and done, because obviously, there's a small story too. The apartment complex wouldn't let me out of my lease.
That should be breakable.
So Dan Tilkin, shout out to Dan Tilkin from whatever news organization he's with. He was kind of like an advocate for me. He had been doing a small story about there had been multiple sex crimes at this apartment complex that I never knew about, and 2 other homicides that I didn't know about. And he actually interviewed me and asked me those questions. Did you know about this? Did you know about that? And I said, I did. And he's like, interesting, just on the phone.
He's a legitimate reporter. I've always liked Dan.
Yeah. And then he called me, like a week after I talked to him. And, the apartment complex called me and said, hey, Mr. Robinson, we're going to let you out of that lease.
Yeah, a little
And I was
pressure from on
I
high.
didn't even know that. I was just like, oh man, thanks. I was all, because I was just a dumb kid. And then he called me and said, hey, did the apartment complex call you? And I said, they did. And I went, good man. And he's the one that actually, so shout out to Dan.
That is great, man. This whole thing is wild, and it's kind of like it's kind of a testament to that bad things can happen to anybody, whether you're involved or not.
Yeah.
And, there's always the grand scale of you're just driving in a car and a car sideswipes you. But this is kind of like just like the real life human version of that it's just a snowball of all kinds of random things that just kind of land in your lap at once, all the way down to just the anger management thing.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that you had to go into all of this with a stigma. So like if there is no incident or probation or whatever it is, I feel like they play on your team a little bit more.
Probably. Yeah.
But and the reason why I bring that up is, like we all have little things where it's like, well, that wasn't that big a deal. Well, it's not until you add it to another deal or you add it to another deal. It's like getting a careless or a reckless driving. And you're like, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad a thing because it's just reckless driving. And then 2 weeks later, you're in an incident with two cars. And whose fault is it? Well, now you're the reckless guy.
Yeah.
So
seatbelt ticket.
And it's
no, I was wearing my seatbelt this time. Like, oh yeah, four other ones.
But you have a history, and so
hurt.
you never get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why in life, and especially like with my kids, I'm going to tell them like, don't run out of your credits. Like, you get a certain amount of grace and, obviously different people get more grace than others and it's not fair, but you need to maintain a few of those get out of jail free cards.
Yes.
Because if they start to run dry, they'll start interviewing you for 6 hours at a time.
Yes, they will. And I always, I tell the story to a lot of different people and they just like, they're shocked that because they meet me and I'm a sales manager.
You're very normal.
Yeah, I'm a very normal guy. And it doesn't usually happen to, I guess, normal people, but random people. Like most people don't have a friend that was a former murder suspect. Normally that's something they have. But, I do the same thing with my kids. Like you just never know. That's why you got to mind your P's and Q's, pay attention, just make sure that you're trying to do the right things. And just be honest. I could have taken the path of I'm not going to say anything. And I think it would have made it infinitely worse. I think it was.
And they would have really leaned into
They would have really leaned into, especially, just with the nature of where I lived and who I knew. I think those two things alone would have been bad. But yeah.
Well, and you have kind of like an inviting personality. I'm going to guess that you're not too much different on like the laugh and happy go lucky part of it. Like you might not have cared about your bank account or responsibility,
sure,
those things, but they were able to probably see a personality that isn't reflective of a serial killer or rapist or whatever it is, because it takes a certain type of person. Now there is the anomaly there where like the Ted Bundy who can turn it on and turn it off, but it really that's the rare case.
Very rare case.
Normally the creep is the quiet one or the reserved one, or I feel like the more you talk, the safer I am with people.
Sure.
And the quieter they are, I wonder what's stewing. And I am a big mouth, and in the saddest of ways, just because life is life and situations. I've talked to homicide detectives. I've never been a suspect. I've been a character witness. I've been a witness. I've been associated to situations, but it's almost immediately you're painted into a corner, even when you're not the guy.
Yeah.
And you can feel like there's this pressure on you. And it's like, I've always felt very lucky in those moments that I don't have priors and I don't have a reason to think that it could be me.
Yeah.
Because even if it's just the headache of always having to explain yourself.
Yeah. I have, it's funny in that picture of all my friends on my 20th birthday. One was known as the Woodstock rapist. He raped 2 girls at gunpoint, still in prison. And my other friend, his dad, and they've done podcasts about this, hired a hitman to kill his stepmom, who turned the tables and killed the hitman.
Oh my gosh.
Susan. Yeah, she. That's already been like well documented. It was all over the news.
That's
So
wild.
out of 6 friends, 50% of us were part of some kind of a homicide, some kind of those crazy stories. Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to like what my mom or your mom or anyone used to say, and it's like, well, you don't want to surround yourself with a certain type of people because that's what'll happen. Bad things happen when you're with bad people.
Yeah.
And they do.
They do. Yeah. I mean, if you're not reading the signs, you learn later on in life, like, the guy that's getting 5 DUIs, you probably shouldn't hang out with him. It wasn't until, that I got into the car business that I started meeting people that weren't of that vein, that weren't like that. Because where I grew up, that's just the way everybody was. They all just had some kind of an idiotic thing they were going to do. It's just the way that it was. And there was like the one guy that wasn't, but there was going to be 10 that did.
Yeah. And I remember those places. You go to those apartments, and I'm kind of in my mind, it kind of looks like your apartment complex there, where you go to a place that you shouldn't be, but I would go and you're hanging out and your mind is telling you, hey, you should get out of here. You and these people are not the same people. Like, you should get out of here. And a lot of times I wouldn't necessarily, as a young man, I wouldn't listen to that voice in my head, but I pray that my kids do, because those rooms never
tell the stories.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're like, I'm going to get out of here, and you step over someone who's huffing Glade. Like, there's just no good way out of some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But now you are put together, dressed nicer than me. You've sold my wife a car. You've sold my dad a car. You are a good salesman.
I try. Yeah,
and I'm so glad that they did not take away your freedom or put you through these things. Because I've seen people who've been put in jail and then they come out and things are just different.
Yeah, it's crazy. My life infinitely got better after that, to be honest with you. I slowly, started hanging out with the right people, got into the car business, started making money,
and it changes everything.
Met my wife, had kids, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, the last question I'll ask about the case is the guy who was convicted of this crime. What happened to him in the end?
So, in the end, he was convicted of multiple rapes.
Did he get life?
He got life in prison. I've tried to find information on him, but it's hard. Like, the news wasn't like it was, like it is now, where you can find something on everybody. But I'm still working at it. I've got my own little thing that I'm working on. So,
and I want to check that out. And when you do get your own, whether it's a podcast or documentary or whatever, we'd love to have you back on to discuss it and where people can find it, because it's a really interesting story, and I'm so glad that you no longer live in a complex like that, and we don't have to worry about you. And thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with me today here at the Stafford Hills Club, where I do all of these shows. So check it out, staffordhills.com. And Anton, thank you, brother. Have a great day.
Man. Like and subscribe. Let's go.
That's right.